This is you. Orange jumpsuit, wrists still remembering the bite of the cuffs even after they come off, ankles sore from the chain that dragged you through the intake hallway like a reminder that your body is no longer fully yours. You thought prison was a place where time slows down. You were wrong. Prison is a place where time sharpens. Every hour grinds the soft parts off you and leaves only what's useful. The bus door opens and the heat hits your face like a slap from a hand you can't see. Razor wire crowns the concrete like a metallic halo. Guard towers watching the yard with rifles angled downward as if the building itself is aiming at you. Inside, the air smells of bleach and old sweat, the kind that never leaves fabric, the kind that seeps into walls. Intake is a room full of men trying to look smaller than their fear. Nobody speaks, but everybody is talking with their eyes. They don't care what you did. They care what you are. They classify you in silence. Your race, your posture, your level of panic, whether your eyes dart too fast, whether your shoulders are too tense, whether you look like prey that hasn't realized it's already in the grass. A correctional officer stamps paperwork without looking up, bored in the way only someone who's seen the same collapse 1,000 times can be bored. Then, without moving his lips, he leans just close enough for you to hear. Figure out where you stand before someone decides for you. He says it like he's giving weather advice. You nod like you understand. You don't, not yet. They take your clothes. They give you the uniform. They take your name and replace it with an ID number that will follow you through every door. The first time metal locks behind you, you feel something in your chest tighten. Not from fear exactly, but from the realization that nothing you do in here exists in isolation. Every action has an audience. Every hesitation becomes information. The first walk to the yard is worse than the cell, because outside you can see the system operating. It isn't chaotic, it's organized. Groups are separated without signs, the way animals separate at watering holes. Whites cluster near the benches like it's their corner by default. Blacks run the weights, controlling space through presence and routine. Hispanics own the handball wall, bodies moving with that calm, athletic rhythm that tells you they belong. A few men sit alone, pretending solitude is peace. You make the same mistake. You sit alone too, thinking you're being smart, thinking you're staying out of trouble. You don't realize that in this place, staying out of trouble can look exactly like weakness. A tall man with ink crawling up his neck sits beside you like he's taking a seat on a bus, slow and controlled, as if he has all the time in the world. His eyes don't blink much. His voice is low enough that it feels like it's meant for your bones, not your ears. You can't float here, he says. Water has sharks. You try to answer with logic, the way men outside answer problems. You say you're doing your own time, minding your business, not getting involved. He smiles once, and there's no warmth in it. There is no your own time. He stands up and walks away without looking back, returning to his group as if the conversation never happened. But you feel it now, the pressure behind the quiet. Neutral isn't a safe position. Neutral is a blank space, and blank spaces get filled. Over the next days, the system keeps teaching you without lectures. At chow, trays slide across tables like offerings, and you notice the same patterns repeating. Who sits where? Who gets up first? Who waits? Who speaks and who doesn't? Favors don't move randomly. Respect doesn't move randomly. Even the silence is managed. You watch men exchange glances that last half a second and somehow decide entire outcomes. You start to understand that this place runs on invisible rules, and the most dangerous thing you can be is unpredictable. One night, your cell door slams shut, and your cellmate, older, heavy-built, calm in a way that scares you more than anger, doesn't even turn fully towards you. They're asking about you, he says, like he's talking about a package that arrived. Who? You ask. He lets out a short laugh that isn't amused. If you don't know, you're already behind. He explains it in the simplest terms, because simple is what keeps men alive in complicated places. Every race has a car. Every car has structure. Every structure has rules. If you don't align with your car, you're seen as weak. If you align and hesitate, you're worse. You lie on the plastic mattress that night, staring at the ceiling, hearing the distant metal clang of doors, hearing someone cough 3 cells down, hearing someone whisper a prayer like it's a private shame. Your mind runs the same question over and over, faster each time. What happens if you don't choose? And the answer forms by itself in the dark, cold and certain. Someone else will choose for you. And when they do, it won't be for your comfort. It will be for their convenience. The next morning, when the doors open and the yard breathes again, you step out and you don't sit alone. You don't know where you belong yet, but you know what you can't be anymore. You scan the groups, you feel eyes scanning you back, and then you see a man from your category tilt his head slightly. Not a wave, not an invitation, just a subtle signal that says, "Over here." You take 2 steps, then 3, and with each step your stomach tightens because you understand you're not walking toward friendship. You're walking toward a decision that can't be undone. You don't sit immediately. That would look eager. You don't hesitate either. That would look unsure. You lower yourself on the concrete edge of the bleachers like you've done it before, like this is just another seat in another place. The men around you don't smile. They don't welcome you. They observe. One of them, older, shaved head, forearms layered with faded ink, studies you the way a mechanic studies a used engine, not judging your past, measuring your reliability. "What's your paperwork look like?" he asks calmly. It isn't curiosity, it's verification. You tell him your charge. He nods once, no reaction. That's good. Overreaction is weakness too. Another man leans forward, elbows on knees. "If something jumps off," he says, eyes locked on yours, "do we stand alone?" You understand the question this time. He's not asking about courage, he's asking about alignment. In here, hesitation during chaos spreads faster than violence. You swallow once and answer without drama. No. Silence follows. A long one. The kind that tests whether you'll fill it with nervous words. You don't. Finally, the shaved head man stands. "You eat with us tonight." That's it. No handshake, no ceremony. Alignment doesn't need theatrics. It needs consistency. That evening at Chow, you carry your tray and sit where they sit. The movement feels small, almost invisible, but it changes everything. Other groups notice. Eyes flicker. Adjustments are made. You feel it instantly, less exposed, more defined. Not safer, just categorized. The first rule is explained to you later, quietly during yard. One of the lieutenants says, he's younger than the others but speaks with authority because authority in here is earned through steadiness, not age. No freelancing, he says. You don't talk to other cars without reason. You don't borrow from them. You don't joke across lines. Every interaction has weight. You nod. Outside, casual conversation meant nothing. In here, casual can look like conspiracy. You begin noticing how little anyone wastes words. Every sentence either builds structure or weakens it. There is no neutral speech. Days turn into weeks and you start seeing the hierarchy more clearly. The shot caller rarely moves fast. He doesn't need to. People move around him. Information flows to him like water downhill. He settles disputes with calm logic, never shouting, never flinching. Beneath him are the lieutenants, the connectors, the ones who translate strategy into daily behavior. Then soldiers. That's you. Your role is simple but absolute. Show up, stand firm, don't break formation. If numbers are needed, you are a number. If presence is needed, you are a body. You begin training your posture without realizing it. Back straight, eyes steady, movements controlled. You stop scanning the yard like prey and start scanning like a part of a wall. You don't feel stronger, you feel integrated. Your first real test doesn't come with fists, it comes with tension. Phone time is limited and lines are sacred territory. A man from another car steps too close to your group's spot. Words are exchanged, nothing loud, nothing dramatic, but the air thickens. You feel your pulse accelerate. Instinct tells you to step away, to avoid being the spark, but stepping away thou means signaling fracture, and fracture invites pressure. So when the men in your car shift forward, you shift forward too. Not aggressive, just aligned. The other group measures, counts, calculates risk versus gain. Seconds stretch like rubber bands about to snap. Then they step back. No punches, no blood, just repositioning. You learn something essential in that moment. Violence isn't the first tool. Credible unity is. Power here is measured by how convincingly you are willing to escalate, not how eagerly you want to. Later that night, your cellmate nods at you once. It's the closest thing to approval you've received since arriving. You didn't flinch, he says. It isn't praise, it's confirmation. Flinching spreads doubt. Doubt spreads instability. Instability invites attack. You lie awake thinking about how quickly your internal compass is shifting. Outside, conflict meant chaos. In here, conflict is structured negotiation backed by the possibility of force. You're starting to understand that prison gangs aren't built on random aggression. They're built on predictable response. Predictability is safety. Safety is survival. Weeks later, the system tests you differently. A younger member of your car mouths off to a guard during count. The guard retaliates by shaking down your entire section. Lockdown, 48 hours in a box that smells of metal and frustration. When the doors reopen, the younger inmate is told to step into the shower area. He walks in upright. He walks out quieter. No one explains what happened. No one needs to. Internal discipline is faster and cleaner than external punishment. You realize something uncomfortable. The structure you joined protects you, but it also owns you. You're accountable not just for yourself, but for the behavior of those aligned with you.
Individuality shrinks. Collective responsibility grows. Months pass. Your body adjusts to the schedule. Your mind adjusts to the rhythm. You sit facing doors automatically now. You scan hands before faces. You listen more than you speak. The shot caller sits beside you one evening during lockdown, back against cold concrete. "This place teaches survival," he says quietly, staring ahead. "But don't confuse survival with identity." You don't answer, because you already feel the shift happening. You're not becoming someone new, you're becoming someone streamlined. Excess emotion trimmed, hesitation sanded down, reaction times shortened. You aren't thinking about right or wrong anymore, you're thinking about stable or unstable, contained or explosive, safe or exposed. Then the rumor spreads, a potential riot. It starts small, like everything in here. A debt unpaid, a disrespectful glance, a rumor passed incorrectly. Extra guards appear on the tiers, lockdowns tighten. Your car meets briefly during yard, no long speeches, just clarity. If it goes up, a lieutenant says, we move together. No heroes, no laundering. You nod with the others. The simplicity of the plan is what makes it powerful. Unity first, individual action second. The riot ignites over something trivial, it always does. A shove, a word, then momentum. Bodies surge. You don't have time to think, you fall into formation instinctively, shoulder to shoulder with your car. Pepper spray clouds the air, shouts echo off concrete. You hold your position, not swinging wildly, not chasing chaos, just protecting your alignment. Minutes later, it's over. Sirens, guards flooding the yard, men face down on asphalt. Your lungs burn, your eyes sting, but your car stands intact. No one ran. That's what matters. Later, in your cell, staring at the ceiling again, you realize something heavy and quiet. You didn't join because you wanted power. You joined because the system demanded structure. And once you stepped inside that structure, you began reshaping yourself to fit it. You weren't recruited, you were absorbed. After the riot, something changes in the way people look at you. Not dramatically, not with praise, just a subtle recalibration. You're no longer the new intake trying to understand the map. You're part of the structure now. Your presence carries weight, even if it's small. And in here, small weight still counts. The days settle back into routine, but routine in prison is never neutral. It's tension on standby. Every movement is measured. Every silence has context. You begin to feel the hierarchy more deeply, not just see it. The shot caller doesn't give speeches, he adjusts outcomes. A disagreement over commissary debts? He resolves it before it grows. A rumor about someone cooperating? He verifies before reacting. Power in here isn't loud, it's efficient. One afternoon during yard, a lieutenant pulls you aside. Not aggressively, not secretly, just enough distance to speak without broadcasting. You're steady, he says. That matters. You nod. Compliments are rare currency. Steady men don't start fires, he continues. They decide where they burn. You don't fully understand the sentence, but you store it. In prison, advice isn't motivational, it's tactical. You begin helping with small responsibilities, passing messages cleanly, ensuring younger members understand seating order, watching for tension before it erupts. None of it glamorous, all of it necessary. Structure doesn't collapse from big hits, it collapses from small fractures ignored too long. Your internal wiring continues shifting. Outside, you reacted emotionally. In here, you calculate. When someone bumps into you accidentally, your first instinct isn't anger, it's assessment. Was it intentional? Who saw it? What message would escalation send? You begin realizing that most violence in prison isn't spontaneous, it's communicative. Every act says something. The trick is making sure it says what you intend. Then comes another test, not chaotic, not loud, controlled. A man from another car owes one of yours commissary. He's delaying payment, testing boundaries. Word reaches the shot caller. A meeting is arranged near the weight pile, casual enough to avoid guard suspicion. You're told to stand present, not to speak, just to exist in formation. The other car sends their own numbers. The debtor tries to laugh it off. The lieutenant from your side doesn't raise his voice. He simply states the terms again. Calm, direct. Debt is due. Silence follows. You feel the weight of bodies around you. The other group calculates again, risk versus gain. They decide it's not worth it. Payment is arranged by the end of the week. No punch is thrown, but the message lands clearly. Discipline backed by unity is stronger than noise backed by ego. Later that night, lying in your cell, you replay it. You realized you didn't feel fear standing there. You felt purpose. That unsettles you more than fear would have. You're beginning to find stability inside a system built on confinement. And stability feels good. Too good. The shot caller's earlier warning echoes. Survival isn't identity, but survival feels like identity when it keeps you breathing. Weeks turn into months. You notice younger intakes arriving with the same confused look you once carried. Some try to stay neutral, some try to align too aggressively. You watch them the way you were once watched, evaluating steadiness, predictability, whether they'll fold under pressure. One evening, a new intake from your category sits alone at chow. You recognize the mistake immediately. Before tension finds him, you walk past slowly and tilt your head slightly. Not an invitation, a signal. He hesitates, then moves. You don't smile, you don't explain. Structure doesn't need explanation, it needs continuation. But prison never stays calm for long. A rumor starts circulating that a member from your car may have spoken to administration about contraband. Nothing confirmed, just whispers. Whispers in here are dangerous. They create instability faster than fists. The lieutenants begin quiet verification. No accusations, just observation. The suspected inmate grows nervous. His posture changes. He avoids eye contact. That alone increases suspicion. You watch the process unfold with unsettling clarity. The system doesn't react emotionally, it collects information. When confirmation finally comes, it doesn't explode publicly, it resolves internally. The man is removed from shared tables, isolated socially before anything physical happens. Exclusion in prison is more powerful than violence. When the final decision is made, it's swift, controlled, quiet. He disappears from the yard for a while after that. When he returns, he walks differently, smaller. The lesson spreads without anyone speaking it. Loyalty isn't optional, it's structural. You begin noticing something else too. The guards understand the system more than outsiders think. They let the cars regulate themselves as long as order remains intact. It's efficient for them, less paperwork, fewer unpredictable eruptions. The prison functions like a layered hierarchy, administration above, gangs beneath, each maintaining a version of order. Chaos is bad for everyone. Structure benefits all parties, even for different reasons. Months pass. Your sentence clock moves slowly, but your internal clock accelerates. You no longer feel like an outsider inside these walls. That realization lands heavy one night during lockdown. You sit on your bunk and try to remember the exact feeling of walking into a grocery store freely. The memory feels distant, blurred. You remember sunlight without fences, but it seems less real than the yard under razor wire. That unsettles you deeply. Adaptation is survival, but adaptation can also become absorption. The shot caller approaches you again during yard. Time moves different in here, he says casually, watching a basketball game from a distance. Some men count days, smart men count shifts in structure. You glance at him, waiting. Cars change, leadership changes, alignments shift. If you only count days, you'll miss the real movement. You nod slowly. He isn't grooming you for power, he's teaching you perception. And perception in prison is protection. Then comes another test, not chaotic, not loud, controlled. A man from another car owes one of yours commissary. He's delaying payment, testing boundaries. Word reaches the shot caller. A meeting is arranged near the weight pile, casual enough to avoid guard suspicion. You're told to stand present, not to speak, just to exist in formation. The other car sends their own numbers. The debtor tries to laugh it off. The The lieutenant from your side doesn't raise his voice. He simply states the terms again. Calm, direct. Debt is due. Silence follows. You feel the weight of bodies around you. The other group calculates again, risk versus gain. They decide it's not worth it. Payment is arranged by the end of the week. No punch is thrown, but the message lands clearly. Discipline backed by unity is stronger than noise backed by ego. Later that night, lying in your cell, you replay it. You realized you didn't feel fear standing there. You felt purpose. That unsettles you more than fear would have. You're beginning to find stability inside a system built on confinement, and stability feels good. Too good. The shot caller's earlier warning echoes. Survival isn't identity, but survival feels like identity when it keeps you breathing. Weeks turn into months. You notice younger intakes arriving with the same confused look you once carried. Some try to stay neutral, some try to align too aggressively. You watch them the way you were once watched, evaluating steadiness, predictability, whether they'll fold under pressure. One evening, a new intake from your category sits alone at chow. You recognize the mistake immediately. Before tension finds him, you walk past slowly and tilt your head slightly. Not an invitation, a signal. He hesitates, then moves. You don't smile, you don't explain. Structure doesn't need explanation, it needs continuation. But prison never stays calm for long. A rumor starts circulating that a member from your car may have spoken to administration about contraband. Nothing confirmed, just whispers. Whispers in here are dangerous. They create instability faster than fists. The lieutenants begin quiet verification. No accusations, just observation.